The storm on Zera 4 had no mercy. Thick clouds spun above the broken valley, releasing waves of dust that crackled with static each time they collided with the jagged metal ruins. Human officer Rian Hale moved carefully across the debris, scanning for survivors. His suit lights cut through the orange fog, but even then, it was hard to see more than a few steps ahead. The settlement had been hit an hour earlier by an orbital strike from raiders, and Command had sent his 3-person rescue team to look for anyone trapped. Rian heard nothing but the howl of wind and the crackle of broken power lines. He tightened his gloves and kept walking. Stepping over a collapsed antenna tower, the air smelled of heat, metal, and something sharp. Fear, maybe. His boots sank into the drifting dust, leaving neat prints behind him that the storm slowly erased. He paused and listened again. A faint sound reached his ears, almost like the cry of a small animal. Rian froze. No animal could survive in this place. That meant only one thing: a survivor. He moved toward the sound, brushing aside chunks of shattered alloy plating. The faint cry came again, weaker this time. Rian crouched and pushed away a slab of bent metal. Beneath it, curled up in a small pocket where the wreckage formed a thin shelter, lay an alien girl. Her skin was pale silver, her hair tangled and coated with dust, and her long ears trembled with weak, uneven breaths. She looked young, maybe barely into adulthood by her species standards. Rian knelt beside her and touched her shoulder gently. She flinched hard, eyes snapping open with fear. Her pupils were wide, glowing faint violet in the dim light. "It's all right," Rian said calmly. "I'm here to help." Her voice came out cracked and dry. "Please, don't leave." "I won't," he promised. "Can you move?" She tried to shift but gasped as pain shot across her ribs. "No, I can't. I'm broken." Rian looked her over. Her left leg was trapped under a heavy beam, but more than that, her body shook with exhaustion and shock. He lifted the metal piece with slow care, bracing his legs and using the mechanical strength of his suit. The beam rose just enough for him to slide her leg free. She whimpered but didn't scream. Rian admired that strength, even through fear. Once she was free, he gently lifted her into his arms. She weighed almost nothing. "You're safe now," Rian said softly. "I'm taking you to my ship." Her fingers curled desperately into the fabric of his suit. She looked terrified, as if the act of being held might disappear if she let go. The wind howled around them as Rian carried her out of the wreckage. His comm unit crackled. "Hale, status?" His teammate Chessa asked. "Survivor found," he replied. "She's injured. I'm bringing her back." "Copy. We'll prep medical." Rian tightened his hold on the girl and walked steadily through the storm. She buried her face against his chest, her breathing thin and trembling. Something about the way she clung to him felt unusual, not instinctive fear, but something deeper, a desperation to not be abandoned. When they reached the ship, Chessa and Dalen rushed forward. But when Chessa reached for the girl, the alien recoiled, clutching tighter to Rian. "No," she cried weakly. "Please, not them. Don't leave me." Chessa paused. "Whoa. She's scared of us. Hale, maybe you should carry her to medbay." Rian nodded and continued inside. The girl didn't relax until they entered the quiet hallway away from the storm. She looked up at him with unfocused eyes, still gripping his suit. "What's your name?" he asked gently. She swallowed and whispered, "Saris." "Saris," he repeated with a soft tone. "You're safe with me. I'm not leaving you. I promise." She stared at him, as if testing the truth of his words. After a moment, tears filled her eyes. Not loud, not dramatic, but silent, painful tears. She had probably been alone under the metal for hours, believing each minute would be her last. In the med bay, Rian placed her carefully on the bed. Saris immediately reached for him again, but he took her hand lightly, letting her know he was still there, while Chessa scanned her injuries from the other side. "She has dehydration, shock, and several bruised ribs," Chessa said. "But nothing life-threatening. She just needs rest." Saris's breathing eased a little at the words, but her grip on Ryan didn't loosen. If anything, it tightened. "You're safe," he repeated. The girl's violet eyes followed every movement he made, as if afraid he might vanish. When the scans finished, Ryan stepped back to give her space. But instantly Saris tried to sit up, her breath turning frantic. "Don't," she pleaded. "Don't go. Not yet." Ryan paused, surprised by how quickly fear returned in her voice. He moved back to her side and sat in the chair near the bed. "I'm here. I won't leave." Her shaking slowed. She looked exhausted, broken in spirit. But every time she looked at him, a fragile hope flickered across her face. After a few minutes, she whispered, "You saved me." No one else came. "There weren't many survivors," Ryan said gently. "I'm sorry." Saris lowered her gaze. "My people. They left me. They ran without looking back. I kept calling. No one answered." Her voice cracked on the last word. Ryan understood now. She wasn't simply scared, she had been abandoned. "You're not alone anymore," he said softly. Saris looked at him again. Something deep and emotional stirred in her expression, as if something inside her broke and reformed at the same time. "You rescued me," she whispered. "You held me. You didn't leave me in the dust like they did." Her hand reached toward him slowly, trembling. She touched his arm like she was afraid he might burn away if she pressed too hard. "I owe you everything," she whispered. "Everything I have. Everything I am. Ender. I'm Mender." "You don't owe me anything," Ryan said. "Saving you was the right thing to do. Saving you." Her breath hitched. "But I need to repay you. I must stay with you. Serve you. Do anything you ask. Please. Don't send me away." Ryan blinked. Her tone wasn't forced or fearful, it was pleading, desperate, but with dignity still intact. She spoke not out of fear of punishment, but out of fear of losing the only person who hadn't abandoned her. "Saris," he said softly, "I'm not sending you away. You don't have to repay me." She shook her head stubbornly. "I want to. Please. Let me stay by your side. Let me do something, anything, to prove I am not useless." He leaned closer, keeping his voice calm. "You're not useless. And you're not broken. You're exhausted, scared, and hurt. Anyone would be." Her eyes warmed with a fragile, trembling hope. "Then, you won't make me leave?" "I won't," he promised again. Saris let out a shuddering breath, as if the weight of her whole world had been lifted. She slowly lay back. Though her hand still reached weakly toward him, Ryan took it gently, letting her know he wasn't going anywhere. She whispered one last time, barely audible, "Please, let me stay with you. Let me serve you. Not as a slave, but someone who finally has a purpose." Ryan exhaled softly. "You can stay. Not to serve me, but because you deserve safety." A quiet smile appeared on her face. Fragile, but real. Her eyes fluttered closed. And for the first time since he found her, she slept peacefully. Ryan stayed in the chair, watching over her, realizing that rescuing her had become more than a mission. It felt like the beginning of something larger, something he didn't fully understand yet, but he could feel its weight settling gently into his future. And Saris, even in sleep, kept her hand holding his. Saris woke slowly, her breath soft and steady, her fingers still curled loosely around Ryan's hand. The medbay lights were dimmed, simulating early morning. Though on this planet there was no real dawn, just storms that changed color as they drifted across the sky. Ryan had spent the entire night in the chair beside her, drifting in and out of light sleep. Every time she shifted or whimpered, he woke to check on her. When her eyes finally opened, they didn't widen with fear like before. Instead, they softened with quiet relief when she saw him still there, She tightened her hand around his gently, as if confirming he wasn't a dream. "You stayed," she whispered. "I told you I would," he replied. She sat up slowly, wincing as her ribs reminded her they were still healing. Rian immediately helped her adjust the pillows behind her. Saris watched him with an expression that was almost reverent, not in a strange or unhealthy way, but in the way a person looks at someone who saved their life when no one else would. Chessa entered the medbay carrying a tray of food. She set it on the table and smiled. "Good morning, Saris. I brought something soft to eat." Saris tensed slightly, unused to anyone but Rian. But Chessa kept her distance, giving the alien girl space and time. Saris hesitated, then glanced at Rian, as if asking silently if she should trust the offering. "It's safe," Rian said gently. "Try a little." She nodded and reached slowly toward the bowl. Her hand shook, so Rian steadied it with his own. Saris wasn't used to being cared for. Every action, every kindness seemed to shock her. Chessa smiled again. "You're doing well. Your vitals are improving." Saris gave a tiny, shy nod. She wasn't used to praise either. When Chessa left, Rian stayed, watching her eat in slow, cautious bites. She paused halfway through and looked at him with troubled eyes. "Do I really have a place here?" she asked quietly. "Or will you send me back to my people when I recover?" "That depends on what you want," Rian replied. "Do you want to return?" Saris lowered her gaze. "They left me under the metal. They ran. They didn't even check if I was alive." Her voice trembled again, though she wasn't crying. She had cried her tears alone under the ruins. Now she just sounded tired. "I don't want to go back to them," she whispered. "I want to stay where someone values me." "You can stay," Rian said. "No one here will force you to leave." Her breath shivered with relief. Later that morning, Command contacted Rian's team. There were more rescue missions scheduled, and they needed to lift off soon. But Saris couldn't be moved around rough terrain yet, and they couldn't leave her alone on the ship, so Rian made a simple decision. He would stay behind with her while Chessa and Dalen went to assist other squads. The captain agreed, since Saris needed constant supervision, and Rian had established trust with her. When Rian told Saris he was staying, something inside her softened. "Thank you," she whispered. "I know you have duties. I know I'm small compared to your mission." Quote, "You're not small," he said. "You're injured and recovering. That matters." Her silver cheeks warmed faintly, almost like a blush. The day passed quietly. Rian helped her walk around the medbay for short intervals so her muscles wouldn't weaken. She leaned on him heavily at first, unsteady and unsure. But each step made her stronger. At one point, she stopped walking and stared at him with wide, thoughtful eyes. "Why are humans like this?" she asked. "Why do you help strangers? Even when it costs you time, energy, or danger?" Rian shrugged lightly. "Because it's right." Saris looked overwhelmed by that answer. To her people, strength mattered more than compassion. Anyone weak enough to fall behind was expected to accept their fate. Rian's simple kindness clashed with everything she had been taught. "That is why I want to stay with you," she whispered. "You feel different from everyone I've ever known." Rian didn't know what to say to that, so he just helped her take another gentle step. As the hours passed, Saris began opening up, speaking about her past. Not in detail, just small pieces. She spoke of training, of expectations to be useful, of never being allowed to show weakness. Rian listened quietly. At one moment, she asked, "Would you like to know who I was before you saved me?" "Only if you want to share." She hesitated. "I was considered unnecessary among my group. Too small. Too quiet. Always made mistakes during drills. They said I slowed everyone down." "Everyone makes mistakes," Rian said. "That doesn't make someone worthless." Saris's eyes flickered with a mix of surprise and longing. "You say that so easily, as if it's obvious. But in my world, it wasn't." She looked down at her hands, small, delicate, but capable of so much more than her people had believed. "I want to be better," she murmured softly. Not for them, for myself, and maybe for you. Because you saw me when I thought I was invisible. Rian placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. You don't need to change to earn a place here. You already have one. Her breath caught in her throat. Please, don't say things like that unless they are true. They are true, he said simply. Saris looked away quickly, overwhelmed, but there was a small smile forming at the corner of her lips. Later, when she rested again, Rian checked the ship systems and made sure everything would stay stable while the others were gone. He returned to the med bay and found Saris awake but staring blankly at the ceiling, lost in thought. Are you in pain? Rian asked. She shook her head. No. I was thinking. About what? About purpose, she said quietly. My people believe everyone must earn their place through strength. But what if someone tries and still fails? What then? Her voice weakened. They say those people should disappear, like me. Rian frowned. That's wrong. Strength isn't everything. And being left behind doesn't define who you are. Saris looked at him with a mixture of awe and disbelief. You speak like kindness is a natural law, something that must be followed. It should be, he said. She let out a soft, shaky laugh, hearing sincerity in his voice. I don't understand humans. But I want to. You'll have time, Rian replied. You're staying with us now. Her eyes softened deeply, tenderly, almost painfully. Thank you. You don't know what that means to me. For a while, silence filled the room. But it was a warm silence. Saris played with the edge of the blanket, thinking carefully, as if choosing her next words. At last, she whispered, Ryan, when I said I wanted to serve you, I didn't mean as a slave. I meant I want to repay your kindness somehow. I don't want to be a burden. You're not a burden, he said firmly. But I want to be useful, she insisted softly. I want to help you the way you helped me, even if it is something small. I want to stay by your side because that's where I feel safe. Rian leaned forward, lowering his voice. Then stay by my side. Not as someone who owes me anything, but as someone who deserves a chance to live her own life. Her eyes shimmered with emotion. She reached out slowly, touching his hand again, this time without fear. I won't forget your words, she whispered. Evening came, the sky outside turning a deep gold from the swirling dust in the atmosphere. Soft lights filled the ship corridors. Rian brought a warm drink for Saris, something mild and calming. She held the cup with both hands, savoring the warmth. When I was little, she said suddenly, I dreamed of seeing the stars without fear. But my people said dreams are a weakness. Dreams are strength, Rian said gently. She looked at him again, and something in her heart settled. A part of her that had been shattered began stitching together. She drank slowly, then whispered a confession she had kept hidden since the moment he found her. I really thought I would die under that metal, she said. I had accepted it, until I heard your voice. Rian said nothing at first. He just sat beside her, calm and steady, letting her speak at her own pace. She continued, When you lifted the beam, I tried not to hope. Hope hurts when it disappears. But you didn't leave. You carried me. You stayed beside me all night. She swallowed. So please, let me stay beside you now. Rian nodded softly. You can. Saris closed her eyes, her expression peaceful for the first time in years. Before sleep took her, she whispered, This ship, these people, you. This feels like the first place I can breathe. Rian stayed nearby long after she fell asleep, watching her breathe calmly, knowing she was healing in ways deeper than wounds, and he felt something quietly growing inside him too. Responsibility, understanding, maybe something even stronger. He didn't know what the future held, but he knew Saris was no longer alone, and he wasn't leaving her now or ever. The following morning felt calmer than the days before. The storm outside had softened, and the ship hummed quietly in the valley. Rian stepped back into the med bay expecting to find Saris asleep. But instead, she was sitting up, holding a datapad awkwardly with both hands, studying the symbols as if they were pieces of a puzzle. She looked up when he entered. A small smile appeared on her face, shy but warm. "Good morning." "Morning," Rian said. "You're awake early." "I wanted to read," she said softly. "I want to learn your language properly. I want to understand things better so I won't be useless." "You're not useless," he reminded her gently. Saris lowered her gaze. But the small smile stayed. "I know. You've told me. But sometimes, my heart still forgets. So I'm trying to teach it." "I mean," Rian admired her honesty. It made her feel more real, more human than many humans he had known. She wasn't afraid to show her weaknesses. She had lived her whole life trying to hide them. Yet here she was, trying again. Trying harder. Because someone finally gave her a reason to. "How are your ribs?" Rian asked. "Better," she said. "I can breathe without pain now." "Good. That means you can start real recovery exercises soon." She nodded eagerly, as if she wanted nothing more than to get stronger so she could stand on her own 2 feet again. Around midday, Chessa and Dalen returned from their rescue operation. They brought news, some good, some bad. The good news was that several survivors had been brought to safety. The bad news was that raiders were still active in the area, and scouting drones detected movement nearby. The team gathered in the briefing room. Saris remained in the medbay, but Rian stayed close by the door, so he could hear both his team and Saris if she needed anything. "We might have to lift off soon," Chessa said. "But we can't risk moving the ship until we confirm the raiders aren't setting traps." "And Saris?" Dalen asked quietly. "She's staying," Rian said firmly. "She's in no condition to be moved around like cargo." "No one said she was," Chessa replied gently. "We're just making sure we keep her safe." Rian nodded. It wasn't that he distrusted his team, he simply felt a responsibility towards Saris so deep it surprised him. She wasn't just another rescued civilian. She had become someone whose safety mattered to him personally. After the meeting, he returned to the medbay and found Saris watching the door anxiously. "You were gone a long time," she whispered. "Only a little while," he said. "I'm here now." That simple sentence eased all the tension in her shoulders. She looked as if she had been holding her breath the entire time he had been away. "Are we in danger?" Saris asked. "Not immediate danger," Rian said. "But raiders may be nearby. We'll keep watch." Saris pulled the blanket a little closer around herself. "If they come, will you protect me again?" "Yes," Rian said without hesitation. "But we're not letting them get close. You're safe here." She nodded slowly, trusting his words like they were solid ground. Later, Rian helped her stand so she could walk a few more steps. She still leaned on him, but her legs were steadier today. When she managed 4 full steps before resting, she looked up at him with a proud little spark in her eyes. "See?" she said softly. "You are," he said with a smile. "I want to be someone useful," she continued. "I want to stand beside you, not behind you." "You already do," Rian replied. Saris blinked, startled by the sincerity in his tone. "You don't see yourself clearly yet," he said. "But I do." She touched her chest softly, as if trying to hold those words where her heart could reach them later. That evening, a soft alarm chimed through the ship. Not an emergency alarm, a warning. Something was approaching. Rian immediately checked the screens. A small figure moved through the storm outside, barely visible through dust. "Is that a person?" Chessa asked. "Scanning now," Dalen said, typing quickly. "Humanoid form. Heat signature present. Not one of the raiders' suits." Rian felt a tightness in his chest, but he kept calm. "Open the external cameras." When the view sharpened, they saw a tall woman with the same silver skin as Saris, but her posture was rigid, and her armor was sharp, angular, and marked with insignias. Saris's old people. Rian's jaw tightened. Why would one of them be here? "Probably searching for survivors," Chessa said. "Or searching for the one they left behind," Rian thought. He went back to the medbay. Saris sat upright, fear already rising in her eyes. "You heard the alarms?" he asked gently. She nodded. Someone is outside. I can feel it. There's a member of your species at the door, he said honestly. A woman in armor. Ceres's breath stopped. She shook her head rapidly. No. No. She cannot be here. Do you know her? Rian asked. She swallowed hard. If she wears armor with markings, she is elite guard. They don't come for weak ones. They come only for control. They come to judge. They come to take. She began trembling. Rian kneeled beside her bed and took her hands. You're safe, he said. You're not going anywhere unless you want to. She shook her head. I don't want to go with them. If she came for me, she will drag me back. She will say I dishonored the group by being weak. No one is dragging you anywhere, Rian said firmly. Dalen's voice echoed through the comm. Rian, we have visual contact. She's requesting entry. Ceres's eyes widened. Don't let her see me, please. I can't go back. I can't. Rian touched her shoulder gently. You won't go back. I promise. He stood and went to meet the armored alien woman. When the airlock opened, the wind blasted dust into the room. The woman stepped inside like a blade cutting through the storm. She was taller than Ceres, stronger. Her eyes were cold and precise. I am Commander Vora, she said. I am searching for survivors of our settlement. Rian crossed his arms. We found one. Her expression didn't change. Is she alive? She is, Rian replied. Then bring her to me, Vora said flatly. She is to be returned. No, Rian said. Vora blinked, surprised by how quickly and firmly he replied. No? She stays here, Rian said. That girl belongs to our group, Vora said, her tone icy. Her presence among humans is unacceptable. She will be retrieved now. Rian stepped forward. You left her behind to die. Vora hesitated for a fraction of a second, a tiny flicker of discomfort, but then her mask of command returned. She fell. She slowed us. The raiders were near. We had no choice. There is always a choice, Rian said sharply. You do not understand our ways, Vora replied. Weakness cannot be carried. Then your ways are wrong, Rian said. The temperature in the airlock seemed to drop. You challenge our customs? Vora asked. I'm protecting someone who trusts me. Vora studied him quietly. You are unusual for a human. I'm doing what any decent person should. Your species values the fragile? Vora asked, almost unable to comprehend. We value life, Rian said. Vora looked past him toward the hallway leading to the medbay. I must see her. I must see her. She doesn't want to see you, Rian said. Vora paused. She said that? She's terrified you came to take her. Vora's jaw tightened, but her expression softened slightly, barely noticeable, but real. She fears me, Vora said quietly. Yes. Silence hung heavy. Let me speak to her, Vora said. I will not take her. I only wish to understand why she would stay with your kind. Rian hesitated, then nodded. You leave the final choice to her. And you don't pressure her. If she says no, you walk away. Vora nodded slowly. Agreed. Rian returned to the medbay. Ceres looked like she was fighting tears. She wants to speak with you, he said gently. But she won't force anything. Ceres took a deep, shaky breath. Stay with me. I will, Rian promised. When Vora entered, Ceres froze, gripping Rian's hand so tightly, her knuckles turned pale. Vora stood at a respectful distance, observing Ceres with a calm, unreadable expression. You survived, Vora said quietly. Ceres didn't answer. We thought you were crushed under the debris. We believed you dead. You left me, Ceres whispered. Vora exhaled slowly. We followed our laws. I know, Ceres said, cutting her off with surprising strength. You left me because I was weak. Vora didn't correct her. Ceres looked up at Rian for reassurance before speaking again. But he didn't leave me. Vora's gaze shifted to Rian. Humans break patterns, she said quietly. Your kind has strange rules. Maybe better ones, Rian replied. Vora turned back to Saris. Do you wish to stay with them? Saris squeezed Rian's hand. Yes. Vora nodded. Then I will not take you. Saris looked shocked. You mean it? I do, Vora said. You deserve a place where you feel safe. Vora said. Saris's eyes filled with tears, not from fear, but relief. She looked at Rian, and her trembling eased instantly. Vora bowed her head slightly. Grow stronger, Saris. Saris whispered, I will. As Vora left the ship, Rian felt the weight in the air lighten. Saris leaned against him, exhausted but relieved. You protected me again, she whispered. You don't need protection from everyone, he said softly. Sometimes people change, but you stayed by my side through all of it, she said. I told you I would. She rested her head against his shoulder, breathing quietly. For the first time, she no longer felt like a frightened survivor. She felt like she belonged. The sky above the valley turned darker that night, shifting into a deep red tone as the storm clouds thickened. Rian could feel the air change, like the calm before a greater wave of trouble. Saris sat beside him in the med bay, wrapped in a thin blanket but awake, alert, and no longer trembling like before. Her eyes held a new strength, a quiet belief that she was allowed to exist without fear. Rian checked the ship's sensors again. The storm is growing. We might need to lift off soon. Saris looked up. Will the raiders return? It's possible, he said honestly. They know there were survivors somewhere. They might be searching. Saris lowered her gaze. Then, you must leave this valley, and take you with us, he added. She looked surprised. You still want me to come? Even after my people arrived and caused trouble? You're part of this crew now, Rian said. We don't leave our own behind. Something warm flickered in her silver eyes. Your words always feel unreal to me. Like things I once dreamed but never believed could happen. They're real, Rian said. Before she could answer, the comm system crackled. Dalen's voice came through urgently. Rian, you need to come to the cockpit. Now. Rian. 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 You need to come to the cockpit. Now. Rian stood immediately. Saris tried to follow, but he gently held her shoulder. Stay here. I'll be right back. She grabbed his hand for a moment. Hurry. He nodded and left. In the cockpit, the screen showed 3 unfamiliar ships entering the valley. Their markings were sharp, metallic red. Raider ships. They found us, Chessa said quietly. Rian felt a cold weight settle in his chest. How close? Too close, Dalen replied. They're scanning the valley. They probably already detected our engine core. Chessa spoke again, her voice tight. They're not here by accident. They're tracking survivors. Or maybe they saw the elite guard's ship earlier and followed her signal. Rian clenched his jaw. We can't take off until the storm clears, and that might take hours. Then they'll be on us before we can move, Chessa said. Rian turned toward the hallway, thinking of Saris alone in the medbay. Still recovering. Still fragile. He couldn't let anything happen to her, not after everything she had survived, everything she had fought to believe again. Dalen interrupted his thoughts. Rian, what do we do? Rian took a slow breath. We protect the ship, and we protect Saris. Back in the medbay, Saris sat up anxiously when she saw him return. Rian, what's happening? He sat beside her, his voice steady. Raiders are near. But you're safe, Saris. We'll handle it. Her hands tightened around the blanket. But you stayed because of me. What if staying puts all of you in danger? You didn't cause this, Rian said. And even if you had, we'd still protect you. That's what we do. That's what I do. She stared at him with a mixture of fear and gratitude. I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose you. You won't, he said. A soft tremor shook the ground, likely the raiders' landing. The ship vibrated slightly. Saris's breath caught in her throat. Stay behind me, Rian said gently. No, she whispered suddenly. Not this time. I don't want to hide. I want to stand with you. Saris, I know I'm not strong, she said. I know I'm still healing. But I can watch. Listen. Warn you if something happens. I can try. I don't want to be the scared girl under the metal anymore. Rian saw something new in her eyes. A spark of determination. It was soft, small, but real. And he respected it. All right, he said. Stay close. Saris nodded. They moved toward the center of the ship. Dalen and Chessa had already taken defensive positions near the hatch. The raiders would need to breach 2 thick doors, and Ryan hoped the storm's static would interfere with their equipment long enough to buy time. The ship shook again. They're at the outer hull, Dalen said. Lightning flashed outside, illuminating the valley through the narrow viewport. Saris flinched, but didn't back away. She stood beside Ryan, one hand gripping his sleeve, but her posture straightened with every passing second. Then a loud echoing sound hit the ship. A voice amplified by Raider tech boomed through the storm. Anyone inside the vessel, step out now. We detected alien signatures. Surrender the survivor. And we will let the rest of you live. Saris froze. Rian stepped in front of her immediately. They're lying. They won't spare anyone. I know, she whispered. They want me. We're not giving you to them, Rian said. Saris closed her eyes, breathing shakily. But why? Why do humans protect people they barely know? Because you're worth protecting, he said. Before Saris could answer, the inner alarms blared. The raiders had breached the outer layer. Positions, Rian ordered. Dalen and Chessa pressed to the sides of the hallway. Saris stayed behind Rian, her heartbeat fast but her feet steady. The raiders slammed through the second barrier. The door tore open, sparks flying. Storm winds blasted in, along with 3 armored raiders holding electric rifles. Rian didn't wait. He stepped forward, shield raised. The first blast hit his shield harmlessly. Chessa fired her stun launcher, knocking one raider off balance. The second raider charged Rian with a blade. Rian moved quickly, blocking the swing and pushing the raider back. The third raider aimed toward Saris, who gasped and ducked. But Ryan intercepted before the shot could reach her. "Stay behind me," he shouted. "I'm trying," she said in a scared but determined voice. Even as the battle raged, Saris didn't run. She watched everything, ready to warn Rian of danger. Each time a raider aimed at him from the side, she called out, "Left," or above, helping him dodge. She wasn't fighting, but she was helping, and that mattered. The battle pushed deeper into the ship. Rian and Chessa fought with focus and precision, while Dalen disabled systems the raiders tried to control. Saris followed, staying as close as she could without getting in the way. At last, the raiders realized this wasn't going to be an easy win. One shouted toward the valley, signaling retreat. The 3 fell back through the hallway. A moment later, their ships ignited thrusters and lifted into the storm, vanishing into the red clouds. The silence afterward felt heavy with relief. Rian lowered his shield and turned to Saris. "You okay?" She walked to him slowly. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. I didn't hide." "No, you didn't," he said softly. "You were brave." Her eyes glistened. "I still don't understand humans. But I want to. I want to be someone who stands with you. Someone who doesn't freeze or break." "You already are," he said. Saris shook her head gently. "I'm not yet. But I will be. I promise you, Rian. I will grow strong enough to protect you the way you protect me." Rian's expression softened. "You don't need to become someone else. You just need to be Saris." "And who is that?" she whispered. "Someone who matters," he said. She felt her throat tighten. She stepped closer, placing her palm over his chest. It was a small gesture, but meaningful for her kind, an ancient sign of trust. One only given to those they chose to follow. "I want to stay by your side," she said softly. "Not because I owe you, not because I'm afraid of the world, but because, with you, I feel alive." Rian gently covered her hand with his own. "Then stay. As long as you want. Saris breathed out slowly, a warm, fragile smile forming. Then, I choose to stay. And one day, I will be strong. I will walk beside you without fear. You will, he said. Chessa approached with a tired smile. Looks like we made it. Dalen nodded. Storm's clearing. Once it passes, we lift off. Saris looked out the window. The storm was breaking apart, showing thin strips of blue sky. It felt like the valley was letting her go, releasing her from the part of her life that had trapped her under metal and fear. Rian stood with her, watching the sky brighten. This is a new beginning, he said quietly. She leaned against him lightly. My first real one. As the storm faded completely, the ship engines warmed. The valley below slowly disappeared as the ship lifted, rising higher and higher until the clouds turned into a blanket beneath them. Saris closed her eyes, letting the soft hum of the engines surround her. For the first time, she wasn't running, hiding, or fearing. She was traveling into a future she had chosen, with the person who had stayed, and she knew deep in her fragile but growing heart that she would never be broken again.